Welcome to the Wombat Kitchen. Today I'm slicing some ham, cooking a pesto bread, and organising some sun-dried tomatoes or dehydrated tomatoes with oil. This ham was cured in a brine of mandarins and a salt that I made by smoking some local salt with Australian Wolf Blast Yellow Label Cabernet Sauvignon. I mixed 5 kilos of that with a bottle of wine and then let it dry and then smoked it in my smoker with American hickory. I brined the loin of pork for 4 days, and then I smoked it for about I think it was about 4 hours, and so it's cured, and it's also got the nitrate cure to make sure it's safe. After I smoked it for 4 hours, I then put it in this cryovac bag and I vacuum sealed it, and I then cooked it sous vide over here in the sous vide bath. I cooked it sous vide for 48 hours at about 60 degrees, I think it was. And so the flavour is absolutely incredible. Here's the spices that I mixed up. I ground the spice myself. I made Chinese 5-spice from the individual ingredients. I put cinnamon, and I used kumquats from the backyard, and it just was fantastic. The flavour is a mild smoke flavour, but it's all the way through the whole thing, so it's just incredible. Now over here, what's actually proving at the moment is pesto bread. This is organic pesto bread, and I've made this bread from a 48-hour Bega, which is a sponge, which is a starter, and so I used some yeast in that. But check out over here what I used. First of all, to make the pesto, I used some herbs de Provence in my mixture of the pesto, and I also used that in my dehydrated tomatoes. But I used Himalayan salt, which has got 87 trace elements. I used organic, natural grain sugar cane. I used 10 grain American cereal. I used some malted milk. I used organic spelt flour. I used Australian stone ground semolina. I used American wheat gluten to add more protein. I used Australian whole wheat stone ground flour. I used Italian 00 pizza flour. I used Australian 5 grain muesli, and I soaked all those for several hours with my 4-day sponge that I made. Okay, so for the pesto, I used Italian extra virgin olive oil. I used the pine nuts that I got on a recent trip to China. I've used raw cashews, and I used the 3 types of basil from my backyard, and the the flowers and seeds of the basil add extra flavour to whatever you're making. By the way, I use the old wood or the old sticks of the basil bush, which grows to about 1.5 metres, 2 metres sometimes. I use that in my smoker when I'm smoking. So that's the process for making the bread. And as you can see, it's on the first rise at the moment. It's got 1.5 cups of pesto mixed in with 1.5 cups of pine nuts, and so it's a really rich bread because it's made with 3 eggs as well. Over here, I'm going to serve this bread tomorrow to my chef mate Stefano from Italy, and this is the sun-dried tomatoes, or dehydrated tomatoes I should say. They're with herbs de Provence, extra virgin Italian olive oil, and chopped up garlic. So they've been sitting for a few weeks. And then what's going to make Stefano wet his pants is that I'm serving black truffles with the bread, and it comes from Umbria in Italy, which is just near where Stefano lives. So all in all, this is a Sunday cooking. Now, what makes this incredible is that I'm doing this in the jungle 250 kilometres down the road from Bangkok. So if you've got all the ingredients and if you can source what you need, there's really nothing you can't do. Cheers.